What is up, RotoGrinders? 5 o'clock on the East Coast. 2+ hours of MLB DFS talk. Big boy slate. Not messing around today. 15 gamer on DK, 14 gamer on Fanduel. Fanduel does not count those double headers. So St. Louis and is the Cubs? St. Louis and the Cubbies, right?
Yeah.
We've already have one homer today from Albert Pujols. I believe he's six away at this point. Good for him. 6 away from 700. I should specify, I suppose. A round number. Just absolutely mauling left-handers, especially this season. I'm not even sure who were the Cubbies throwing today. Do you even know these things, Tim?
I do not. No.
You did not play the showdown slate today?
I did not.
You didn't need a taste. Probably more runs in that game scored in the entire slate last night. I don't know what the score is, but last night's slate was a snooze fest. Yeah, man, it was pretty rough. I don't know if you played. I presume you played last night. I don't know. You tell me.
I sure did, Dean. It did not go very well.
Uneventful. I cashed with some terrible lineups.
I think I had 2 singles and a stolen base, Dean.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal last night. Last night was probably a very good night to do the old 1-1, 1-1, 1-1, 1-1 stack. You know?
Yes. I thought about that earlier. Actually, I was like, how did people even win last night? And then I started looking at some of the teams. I was like, oh, that's how. You just don't stack.
Yeah, and that's where me and Chop, we would thrive sometimes in that kind of environment. But unfortunately, I think I stacked a lot last night. I had a ton of Braves, and that did not go well for your boy. But, the good thing about DFS, man, however rough it was yesterday, clean slate, get that Etch-a-Sketch out. We're back to 0. Big boy slate going down tonight on a Tuesday. It's an intimate show, Tim. You're going to – whatever your usage normally is, it's going to be ramped up, man. It's just the two of us, and I can only talk so much.
I feel like I'm going from Tony Snell to maybe like Trey Young, maybe like John Collins. I don't know.
Come on. Tony Snell just doesn't say a word. He just doesn't do anything.
Well, that's what I try to do, Dean. I try not to say a word, but I have to.
You can't get away with it. You can't get away with it this time because it's just the two of us, and the people don't want to hear me yammer for an hour and 25 minutes until we hand it off to the Crunch Time crew. Of course, it's Dave Potts, it's STL Cards. He's probably super excited about Albert Pujols. And it's Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. And we're going to need Roth again today. We need him every day, but some days you need him more than others. Roth, if I'll actually drop this in the chat for the people. What up, chat? Kindly hit that like button. Do subscribe and turn on those notifications so you know when we're going live. But you kind of know when we're going live. Whenever there's a slate, we're going to be going live. Toronto and Boston. Toronto, one of the more appealing offenses, I think, in the slate. You tell me. That game is currently orange-yellow. These things obviously change. Weather is fluid. And, in about an hour and 25 minutes, Roth will give the update in that. And I don't know if you were watching last night, but, yeah, the Philadelphia, they were speculating there are some shenanigans of Philadelphia, like not wanting to play the game possibly. Who knows? But Roth was just like, why are they delaying this game? There's no precipitation. Like, it's coming in 2 hours, and they're just going to, the tarps on for no particular reason. But they did eventually get it in. But, yeah, that's one we're going to have to keep an eye on. Otherwise, Yankee Stadium, yellow, green, things can change there. Green in Baltimore, green in Philadelphia. Nothing to scare us away just yet. Let me go ahead and drop this in the chat. I'm working without a second monitor. What's this going on here? Yes, Mr. Richard said rain is fluid as well. Yes, I was going to say that, but my brain just kind of moved on. But that's exactly what I was thinking. Yes, I'm looking snappy in my polo shirt. I'm just reading the comments now in chat. It's laundry day, so this is what we're wearing on laundry day. It's I do it in reverse, as I was saying, Tim. I wear the classier stuff when I'm in a pinch, I suppose. But monster slate going down tonight. Plenty of time to talk through it throughout this the hour and 25 minutes we have. We're going to talk about our favorite stacks. Tim, you are more of a single entry, 3-entry max specialist. Is that fair to say?
Yes, that is fair. That's what I usually play. Single entry, 3 max. I like to play that 254 max on DraftKings also. So anything kind of in that wheelhouse, I like to play.
Do you max that out to 250 or you get like a solo or what do you do?
I just do a solo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, back when I had more time, I'd play more teams, but nowadays I don't have as much time. And so I just play one team across the board. Like on FanDuel tonight, there's that 444, 23 max, and I'm just putting one bullet in it. I mean, I know it's a huge disadvantage, but that's just how I play.
Oh, I didn't see that tournament. Let's see. Well, yeah, I can't play that. 1/3 up top. I can't do it. I have my principles, Tim.
I know. I usually play the 222 single entry because it's actually pretty good payout structure.
Yeah.
But I must have entered too late. I was already full, or maybe they didn't spread it today. I don't know. But that's the only thing I'm hopping in is that 444, and it's terrible. It's a terrible payout structure. But I'm gonna
It's
try
terrible
it.
until you win it, and when you win it, it's great.
Exactly.
I'm in the $44 slam, 5K up top, $30,000 prize pool, first place just less than 17%. I'm good with that. I like that kind of disparity. I'm in there a couple times, and of course, I think it's now that we're here, we should mention it. Of course, I'm in the RotoGrinders sponsored single entry series, the Ace. Every single week, obviously, it changes. This week, it's the Ace, the $10 variety. Last week was the 1 and the 50. If you win, not just tonight, obviously, you got to win. How do you win? You get the top 4 scores where you accumulate 7 scores throughout the week, theoretically. If you play every single day, Monday through Sunday, your top 4 scores, whoever has the highest accumulation of their top 4 scores, you drop the 3 lowest, assuming you played all 7. You don't have to play all 7. You can just play 4 and bank them all. You win yourself a trip to Chicago, all expenses paid. That's September 9th for a shot at $10,000. $50,000 total prize pool. I believe it's 8 finalists, I want to say. I think it's 8 single entry winners and $10,000 up top out of the $50,000 total prize pool. We announced some winners yesterday. I don't have their names anymore, but shout out to those that are already on their way to Chicago. And that, of course, is the same time that Fanduel was running their live final. In addition to that, that'll be going down at the same time. And I know several RG people have qualified. TJ, for one, fresh back from his wedding. He'll be on his way to Chicago. I believe there's several others. I'm forgetting names for some reason. Oh, Squirrel. Like Squirrel's got like 4 or something like that. Of course he does. And I think he's got 4 in DK as well. Last we spoke, he's got 4 and 4. So he's pretty well set up. His friends are probably doing their best to lobby to get a free trip to Chicago and wherever DK's live final is. I don't know where it is. Couldn't tell you. But yeah.
Are you still squatting at Grant's, Dean?
Well, it's funny you asked that because I'm leaving tomorrow, and I was on the fence of continuing. I was reading up on squatters' rights. I was thinking how long I can actually stay until it gets awkward, how long I can stay until like the authorities have to be called. And Grant earlier today pulled a really savvy move. I don't know if he did it unintentionally, but he was playing Nickelback really loudly for like 20 minutes and then maybe an hour. It kept going. And he was repeating the same terrible songs. And I'm like, that's it. I'm out. I got to get a flight.
I don't blame you there, Dean. I really don't blame you at all. I would do the exact same thing.
Yeah. I mean, I can't. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And then it led to a whole conversation about Nickelback, and Grant says, well, they've sold millions of records. I'm like, yeah, have you ever heard of payola? Like, you get the force behind you. They can sell anything to these people.
It's a pretty bush league move on Grant's part. If you're asking me, I think that's too far.
Grant is he likes everything. He's very, very, he likes anything that they play on the radio. He's very chalky. What does the chat think of Nickelback? I'm sure I want to hear and get him fired up. I think producer Steve was liking some of the Grant stuff, so maybe Steve's a big fan of Nickelback as well. But I can't imagine. Like I just don't get it. Like it's so easy and lazy, and it doesn't challenge the listener. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a snob. That could be it too. Maybe it's both. But yeah, your boy Broccoli Boy says less Nickelback, more broccoli. Nickelback has some good songs. Not a top pick for me though. Yeah, I don't. Let's see. Nickelback isn't as terrible as their rep gets. That's the thing. Like they have this horrible rep, but they're also like billionaires, right? So I don't know. We got Jamino in chat singing the lyrics, of course. The lyrics are so ridiculous. Also, it's yeah. I don't know. I'm glad that we can come together on this. You know what? I want to ask Dave Potts. Dave Potts, a fellow musician. I say fellow like I'm a musician, but him and Chad Kroger and Nickelback, theoretically they're musicians as well. Potts says nothing mean about anybody. Do you think Dave is a fan of Nickelback? I say no, but he's going to be nice about it.
Yeah, that's exactly what my take would be. I mean, he's just going to be very, very, very polite, but there's no way he's a fan of Nickelback. There's no
chance. Like he likes folk songs. Like there's no way he likes Nickelback. Yes, I can rock a mean triangle as well. What a great question. Chris Jamino asks in chat, who will induct Nickelback into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? First of all, that's presumptuous that they're going to get there, but they are. Like, they're going to get there, right? They sell enough records, whatever. Creed is a good nominee. Like, who would induct Nickelback into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I think Creed is a nominee. Like, they're obviously not big enough at this point. They had a really small window, but yeah. All right. Hey, this is the kind of things we talk about when we have an hour and a half to kill before the crunch time crew comes in. Of course, we're going to knock out the entire slate as well. Whatever's in your mind slate-wise, whatever we don't talk about, there's a lot of pitchers. It's a lot of good pitchers. And, for 14, 15 games, depending on where you're shopping, I don't love a lot of offenses today. Maybe you can change my mind. And team totals are reflecting that, right? The Houston team total, which I thought was one of the highest ones earlier today, is now below 5, which is a little bit surprising at 4.93. It's basically 5 against Aaron Sanchez. Of course, we have a Coors game, but two pretty good pitchers. Like, these aren't like meatball pitchers. And Aramon Marquez and Dane Dunning, pretty solid arms, right? Not the greatest, but respectable. We're not getting gas cans there in Colorado. And a 10.5 total is not particularly huge. And the offenses are pretty weak, right? Of course, there's some good individual hitters like a Seager, a Semi, and that kind of thing. Semi a little down this year, but you know what I mean. And I'm looking for the 5 totals, right? I'm kind of scrolling through. Do we have any? Did we lose them?
Toronto.
That's right.
Yeah. Toronto's a 5 total. I gotta find. Oh, Atlanta is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, Winkowski getting the call up there for Boston. Boston, I guess they just need an arm or something like that. Winkowski's not been very good this year. I'm pretty sure his splits are much worse. Yeah, much worse versus lefties. They're not great versus righties, obviously. And that Toronto lineup is basically all right-handed, facing the monster as well. But and that's, again, the weather game. We got to keep an eye on that because it's currently orange-yellow, which is dicey for sure. We'll see what Roth has to say when he comes on in an hour-ish. But give me your overall assessment because we're going to talk pitchers in a second too, and they're going to be there's a lot to pick from. I think there's pretty clear tiers, but a lot of options and even good options if you want to be different. But what do you have as far as your screenshot in this slate?
So when I first looked at this slate today, my very favorite stack was Toronto, and then I read Roth's weather report, and I was like, oh man, that's kind of stinks. So I tagged George Springer and Vlad in lineup HQ, just kind of hoping that the weather would get better. But they are my favorite stack on the board. Real quick, I just want to say that if this weather doesn't get any better, they make for a really good tournament option. So if you're building 20, building 150, you might want to just full stat Toronto in a couple teams. Yeah. So if you get the this isn't safe, but it might play call from Roth, I think that you should still have 5% of your portfolio with Toronto in them because they're really are an amazing stack today. I do have I guess not as high expectations as I normally would about Coors, like you said today. 2 average pitchers. I wish that the Colorado had more left-handed batters.
Yeah.
But they really don't. It's kind of like just Charlie Blackmon and Ryan McMahon.
I wish Blackmon was like 5 years younger too, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, that's true too. The other team that I wanted to point out was the Yankees. Walker has tremendous reverse splits, and he's coming off a back injury. So, I mean, I'm sure he's okay, but he might not be 100%. I don't think the Yankees are going to be that high owned.
No.
So it's like, I bet the Aaron Judge and Gleyber Torres home run props today.
What was the number on Judge? Like 220?
The number on Judge was 200, and the number on Torres was 525.
I like that Torres number.
Yeah, I wrote them both up in my Scores and Odds article today.
There you go. Is that a free article for the people?
It is, yep.
All right. I'll try to find it, and I'll drop it in the chat. I saw Keith had an article. I missed yours somehow. I guess there's 2 articles out there because I know Keith liked a couple of. He got me on Fried. I was thinking about Fried. I was on the fence, and Fried at 5.5 strikeouts against Pittsburgh. Although I was kind of bummed. I was hoping my boy O'Neal Cruz would be in the lineup because he loves the strikeout versus lefties. He's not in there, but still, that seems kind of low, right? I know Fried's not this big K guy, but I think he gets there just because he throws 6-7 innings.
He's Fried is one of the highest leverage pitchers on the slate. He's going to be 15% owned. He's going to be the optimal 28% of the time. So for tournaments, he is a spectacular play.
Now, if Cheese was here, I don't want to speak for Cheese, he would not have appreciated how to use the word leverage, because doesn't leverage imply like, we're throwing a pitcher against a team that, everybody's stacking, or vice versa?
Cheese doesn't like it when you use leverage and low owned as the same word.
Now I have 2 things to ask Cheese when he comes in.
That's what he doesn't like, is my opinion of what Cheese's take on leverage is. He doesn't like it when you interchange those 2 words.
He likes the term game stack, though, right?
No.
He hates that also. Hey, speaking of Cheese, actually, one of the things that he taught me, or just kind of a good thought I like that he throws out there on occasion, if this game was being played speaking of cores, if this game was being played elsewhere, if this game was being played in Texas, would we be like acknowledging it? Would we even care? How excited would we be? Right. And it's like, if this game was being played in Texas, we probably wouldn't care about it. Right. It would be there.
It would be a middle of the road game on a huge slate. It's not a game that I think you have to prioritize. Do I think you have to full fade it in your GPP portfolio? No, but it's not a priority for me. I mean, I play one team, both sites, like we talked about. I almost always play cores, and I don't think I'm playing cores tonight.
I mean, the thing is, like, I'm sure you saw the prices on DK. I think DK is just like having fun at this point this season, like making players like 2 and 3K. Cole Calhoun, historically a pretty good hitter this year, shell of himself, whatever you want to say, but he's 2K. A person named Bubba Thompson, I'm told, is a baseball player. He's 2K on Texas. Like their catcher's 2-4. It's just super easy if that's what you want to do. But they're also probably going to grab maybe too much ownership. Like Nate Lau, that's low, right? Nate Lowe. Yeah, I never get those right for some reason.
Me neither.
He's 3.6. Adalis Garcia 4.7. Like, the only one that's expensive, their best hitter Seager, but like that's not hard to make work if you want to make work, and you can get Seager with two stud pitchers. Again, not very difficult. I think it's a little bit trickier to. I don't want to say fade it. Again, not tricky, but you know what I mean. They're going to be more popular on DK. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. 100%.
And I just don't know. Again, there's so many other teams, and Aramon Marquez is fine. Like historically, he has some issues with lefties, and these lefties aren't great. Outside of Seager, like you got to love the Seager matchup. Like Lowe is fine too, but I don't know. I feel like maybe I'm wrong. When was the last time Cole Calhoun has done anything?
I do think though that he has pretty decent advanced metrics. Like I think he's been hitting the ball pretty hard, but has been pretty unlucky for whatever that's worth. I'm not saying you have to play him, but I think he's had a better year than his stats give him credit for.
And he's been beat up too. I believe he's been injured as well. He had 2 homers in the beginning of July in one game, so good for him. And historically, he's a guy that's got some power against righties. But he's 2K. Like, do you think ownership is even a thing? Before we talk about pitchers, it's more of a thing. It gets condensed, and it kind of will be to some extent. As far as hitters, like you mentioned, you don't think the Yankees are going to be heavily owned, or is it just kind of like play the stacks you like and don't worry about ownership?
I think there's going to be a lot of ownership on Texas, but after that, it's going to get super spread out. That's my take. So I think like teams like Toronto, Philly, Atlanta, the Yankees, I think there will be Colorado, there'll be very little separating those teams, but Texas will be the highest owned.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair to suspect. You want to talk? We'll talk stacks obviously soon enough. You want to talk pitchers? Talk arms. I think it's well, you tell me. Rodon, Robbie Ray in his tight pants against Washington. We got Verlander versus Minnesota. No Buxton. Buxton landed on the IL today. I'm not sure if you caught that. So there's some Ks there, but obviously that weakens the overall lineup. Dylan Cease, pretty good pitcher throwing baseballs tonight. Burns just draws the toughest matchup amongst the elite arms facing the Dodgers. And there's no discount. He's 11-4 on FanDuel. I think he's the most expensive pitcher on FanDuel. He's got the toughest matchup, and the ownership reflects it at 6%. But if you want to play him in tournaments, by all means, have at it. Just understand what you're getting yourself into. As far as the top arms, and Verlander has been spectacular this year. Pretty lucky too, if you look at his BABIP. But the K's haven't quite been there. But he also can go 6 or 7. Pretty heavily favored. The W feels like it's kind of, sort of, somewhat on layaway, some win equity at least. And there's Gonsolin, who's pretty overpriced. He's another guy we're waiting for, the shoe to drop on him, and that he's been overachieving. He's been good, but overachieving a little bit. Where are you at as far as who's the separator? I think it's Ray and Rodon, and then a little bit of a break to Verlander and Cease.
So honestly, if I'm building 20 teams tonight, I think I X button Verlander.
Oh wow!
I totally get if you want to play him, but I just like Ray and Rodon and Fried and Cease more, and I think that you have to draw a line somewhere, right? You can't just play all of these guys. So for me, it would be Verlander that gets the X button out of this top tier. Like I said, that could obviously backfire, but Ray is my favorite. I bet is over K prop today. It was 6.5 earlier. Ray is definitely my favorite on both sites. Then Rodon. I know we're not there yet, but I also really like Pablo Lopez.
Yeah, I mean, he's throwing baseballs against Oakland. Oakland obviously is horrendous. We saw Cabrera have an awesome game against him yesterday. Just pulling up Houston versus Minnesota, the matchup here in the plate IQ. And, Verlander in the season, the Ks are good at 25%, but not what they once were, obviously. The walks are solid at 4.5%. Kind of a contact heavy. Well, there's some contact guys. Arise, of course, leading off is annoying, 7.4%. No Buxton. There's some Ks there, but the power's gone as well. Who jumped in for him? I guess Jake Cave probably is the guy that's cracks the lineup.
It's Jake Cave.
24% strikeout, pretty good power, but otherwise, he's basically an all or nothing guy, at least in a small sample against righties this season. And Verlander is he's reverse splitsy, right?
Yes, he does have reverse splits tendencies.
Yeah. Polanco back in the lineup as well too. You said your favorite. Is it Rodon? Is it Ray?
Ray is my favorite in terms of raw point projection. I think that he gets an unbelievable matchup. On paper, it doesn't say that the Nationals strike out a ton, but they don't have Soto, they don't have Bell anymore, and a lot of these guys have really small sample sizes. So when you look at plate IQ, some of those guys, they don't have a big sample. So, it's I don't think that you can really determine, off of just that. I think you got to say Ray's a 29% K rate guy against a very, very, really bad Washington team. So I don't think he's going to beat himself tonight, which could be Ray's issue.
Righty power he's vulnerable to. Who's the righty power you're afraid of? I mean, Nelly Cruz at 45 years old. What's left here as far as righty power in Washington?
Well, honestly, probably at this point, it's Lane Thomas, right? Is he in the? I mean, he might be the guy that I'm most scared of.
Which says a lot if that's
right. That's obviously not going to deter you from rostering him.
And also on occasion, Ray can get a little bit wild, and this Washington projected lineup is just not patient either. Abrams, the speedster, 45 at bats this year versus lefties, no walks, 26% Ks. I know he's a uber prospect, one of the top prospects in baseball, but he's still figuring stuff out. He's annoying if he gets on base, obviously. Cruz will take a walk, and at least in a small sample, this Call guy will take a walk, but 7% walks as far as collectively, that's not a very appealing number. We talked about this, or I was talking about this, a couple weeks ago, and I think it was people in the chat were like, well, Washington, you can't throw guys against them because they're too contact heavy. And they lost Soto and they lost Bell, two of the big contact guys. And, there's Luke Voigt, who is not projected in this lineup. Is he dinged right now? What's wrong with Voigt? Why is he not in the projected lineup?
He
missed a couple games, right?
He kept being put in the lineup, then scratched before the game,
That's
last
right.
2 games. I don't know why, though. I don't know why.
Those were revenge games too, I believe, and he still didn't play him.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the point is, like, they've gotten a little more strikeout heavy. I know it's not the greatest strikeout matchup, but it's better than it was early in the season. And I even looked earlier today. I was like, what's the last 2 weeks? They're like ninth in baseball as far as striking out versus lefties. So, like, they're striking out more is the point. And their power got worse. I got Ray ahead of Rodon as well, but it's 1 and 1A. It's super close. Belt, by the way, speaking of scratched, Brandon Belt was scratched for San Francisco. Who knows if he's available to pinch hit tonight, because that's always a thing, with San Fran. And as far as San Francisco versus Detroit, right, Tim? We want righties, especially against Detroit, but it's not like they're great against lefties either. They're still bad. It's not as bad.
They're still really bad, and of course, Rodon's one of the best pitchers in baseball. So it's not like when you look at their numbers against lefties, they're always facing a caliber pitcher like Rodon. So, I mean, I think that you can play him in any format on any site if that's where you want to go.
Daryl says Meneses is good versus lefties. I saw that in the Plate IQ, but that's a really small sample. I know he's a bit of a prospect, right? I don't know how real that is. Do you know much about Meneses for Washington? And I mean, not gonna
I don't.
Yeah.
And even if he is a top prospect, I mean, let's that's not gonna deter me from playing Ray. Like, I don't even care if he's like the top prospect in baseball. The lineup around him is terrible.
We were talking about this pre-show. Speaking of top prospects in baseball, kind of a bummer that Baltimore, good for them. They called up the number 2 prospect in all of baseball, according to MLB. They just got updated not too long ago. Gunnar Henderson, and he's not in the lineup. I don't know why they called him up, and maybe he's not there yet, or he's on his way. I don't know what the story is, but unless I missed it, unless something changed, I don't believe he's starting tonight. Which he was a 2K cheapie. Tatis is undergoing shoulder surgery. Yeah, that's interesting. All right. Not that matters for our DFS purposes, but I thought he was on his way back, theoretically, to playing baseball this year. We're getting Harper back soon and Stanton back soon, too. By the way, just kind of keep an eye on that. Yeah. So we like Rodon. We like Ray. Talk to me about Lopez. We're not there just yet. Now we're there. Is he like your favorite step down? Because that might be like depending on where you're shopping, because Ranger Suarez is a pretty good price on FanDuel if you want to go there. Pretty good matchup, too. But speak about Lopez first.
Well, I just want to touch on something else really quick. Corbin Burns is on the slate, and he is egregiously priced on FanDuel. He's the most expensive pitcher. I said how I would X out Verlander. Well, I would X out Burns first. So that was my bad. I would definitely X out Burns on FanDuel, and I would personally at 10-6 on DK, I'd probably X him out too, even on DK. So as weird as it sounds, in my pool, I would honestly X out Verlander and Burns. So I think that takes care of the top ends. Pablo Lopez.
You're running 150, would you play him?
What's that?
Say you're running 150. Are they still getting the X?
Yeah, I think definitely Burns. Yes.
Okay.
Definitely Burns. And definitely on FanDuel. There's no way I'd pay 11.4 for him on FanDuel.
He's the most expensive guy there. Yeah,
there's just no chance. Even in a 150 setting, I'd say X. And I wouldn't fault you at all if you X'd him on DK. I think it's a really, really bad matchup. There's no discount. That's just not. There's so many good pitching options tonight.
We gave away some scores and odds premium yesterday, and Doug won it. Yesterday, he was one of the people that won, and he's asking about, do you use the scores and odds app on the phone? Doug confesses to being old and says he's never done it before. Just won a week, and he wants to know how he uses it. I've used it on the phone before, but I tend to just, in general, be more comfortable on my laptop. Do you use the scores and odds app on your phone? You go to the websites on your PC, or what? How do you use the scores and odds app?
I usually use it right on my laptop. I have the scores and odds app, but I don't use it very much.
Yeah, like I've used it in a pinch, but I prefer to but it works pretty good. Like when I use the apps. But
it's a great app. But the only reason I use my computer is because usually I'm writing articles and I have 2 monitors, so I'm always in the scores and odds website. So it's just easier for me.
Curious who else the chat's going to throw out as far as people that we should be talking about. Shannon says Rodon feels like a trap. Why would he feel like a trap? Like what's the problem? Like, of course he would falter.
Even if he is a trap, then you have other options. So if you feel like that, then go to Ray, go to Freed, go to Cease. Like if you don't want to, if you're worried that he may be overowned or that you're worried for whatever reason, you've got tons of options.
Devin came in firing in the chat. He's given some of his thoughts on Nickelback and on Creed. There's no way those are Devin's too cool for that. He's too much of a hipster to like Nickelback or Creed. There's no chance. Yeah, but there are some Creed stands in the chat. There you go. Sure, why not? There's a couple. They did the Marlins song. The Marlins Were Sore. Like if you want to laugh, it's like 25 years ago. It's hilarious. But I think it's supposed to be serious, but it's like funny unintentionally. Yeah, maybe I'll tweet it out later on tonight. As a Marlins fan at one point, I thought it was hilarious. All right. So let's work our way down. Did you give a thought as far as Ranger Suarez, or I think you I asked you about Lopez. You want to talk about Burns? Give me your Lopez thought and Suarez as well.
So, I prefer Lopez over Suarez, and then on DK, if I'm gonna roster Suarez, I'd rather roster Freed. So I'm certainly not sitting here saying that you can't roster Suarez. I just prefer guys below him and above him on both sites. So that's kind of the issue I'm having.
Who do you prefer below Suarez on Fanduel?
What's that?
Who do you prefer below Suarez on Fanduel? Is that what you said?
Yeah, Lopez.
Oh, is Lopez a little bit cheaper on Fanduel? Did I miss that?
Yeah. So I mean, only $400, but still, okay. I'd prefer playing Lopez on FanDuel. Just a little bit cheaper, and on DK, I'd rather just spend the $200 to get Freed. I'm certainly not, or go down to 8,100 for Lopez. So I'm certainly not saying Suarez is a bad play. I just think he's in a funny little price. Maybe that keeps people off of him. Maybe that keeps his ownership down, because he is in that price range, that kind of odd price range. But just for me, maybe he's the guy that you can match the field with. It's just not a play I'm crazy about. He only has on DraftKings, we have him in the winning lineup 7% of the time.
What is his ownership?
14%.
Yeah, that seems suboptimal.
Yeah, so I mean that's just the math saying. I mean, obviously anything can happen, and obviously, the Reds lineup is pretty dreadful. But
it is.
Maybe you just come in at 10% on him.
What do you think of our ownership here? Because I'm looking at DK ownership. I'll jump to FanDuel in a second. DK, of course, is going to be higher. It's going to be higher. You got a roster too, but DK, we're having it pretty close, right? We got Ray at 30, 31, Rodon at 28, Verlander 26, and then there's a break. Cease at 15, Lopez at 14. I happen to think Ray and Rodon might be a tick higher and Verlander might be a tick lower. Do you agree with that? Because that sounds like your assessment at least, but where do you think the field's going to be? Or is that about right?
I agree that I think that Verlander's comes down a little bit and Freed's goes up a little bit. I don't think that Burns is going to be 11%. I think that's going to go down
6, 7.
Yeah. So ownership has to go somewhere, right? Maybe Cease gets a little bump. But I think for me, the glaring one that I don't agree with is Burns at 12%.
Yeah.
I think that's a little high. I think projection systems and even like the eye test says not to play Burns tonight.
People know like lefties against the Pirates too, right? That's kind of a thing. And the thing with Freed is obviously good professional pitcher, just not amazing from a DFS perspective. Not a great strikeout guy, but just awesome in the ground balls. Doesn't really yield homers in a ballpark that yields homers. I don't know what the odds are. I don't think he gives up a home run tonight. He may. You never really know, but it seems unlikely that he gives up a homer tonight in Pittsburgh. What's his home run per nine in this season? Let's check. Now let's see. I'm curious now. Let's see. Freed's home run per nine in the season, 0.43 homers per nine. So he gives up a home run like every 19 or 20 innings pitched.
What's his homer into fly ball?
It's really lucky. 5.9%.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a good point. But he's not getting a lot of fly balls either.
But it's the Pirates. So are we
Yeah.
really going to predict, regression against Pittsburgh? Probably not.
51.1% ground balls. It's hard to hit a ground ball homer, right?
Right.
29% as far as the fly balls. As far as the Ks, they're fine, I guess. 22.9% is not bad, but it's not optimal. But he also should theoretically, be efficient as far as eating innings and suppressing runs. So yeah, I like him too. I tend to not play him in DFS as like a general, depending, everything's slate dependent. But tonight he looks a little bit more appealing than most nights, despite the fact there's also some pretty good contemporaries and Ray and Rodon and Verlander. Cease, I think, is going to get, I guess he'll get owned 15, 16%. Lopez at 8-1. What do you think of the Klubot at 7? He's 7-7. Now we got Trout and Ohtani. They're both back for the Angels. They're for sale, by the way, too. I don't know if you saw that. Apparently, allegedly, the owner, Moreno, is looking to sell that team. I mean, I don't know how hands-on he's been, but if it's on him, what a disaster they've done building that team.
I thought you meant, when you said that, I thought you meant Ohtani and Trout were for sale, and I was like, what?
Well, not maybe they're buying. Maybe they should buy the team. I don't know.
Right.
But yeah. Well, I mean, obviously not going to be sold tonight. I just thought it was interesting to note, and I think Washington's for sale as well too, or going to be coming up for sale. Those two clubs soon enough. Yeah. So there's two good hitters on the Angels tonight. Good ballpark for Kluber. He's not a guy that gets pushed too hard, but it sounds like you just like Lopez as like your next. It was an 8.1 guy. You prefer Lopez over guys like Kluber, and I guess Sanchez obviously more expensive on DK.
Yeah, and that's not to say you couldn't roster Kluber as your SB2 in some tournaments. But like you said, I do like Lopez better. Oakland has no good hitters, whereas LA has two amazing hitters. So I definitely want to attack Oakland. I'd prefer to attack Oakland. But Kluber's fine for tournaments. I'd have no issue with that.
Jamino wants to know if I know who Lizzo is. Yeah, it's a good question, but I do. I do know who Lizzo is. And I don't know what word he's spelling there, but I don't know what a Ballon. Oh, wait. I feel like I'm not sure. Am I saying? I don't know where he's going with that, but do you know what word he's looking? You have your eye in the chat or no?
No, I don't.
Ballon. Yeah, I feel like there's something going. I don't know, but I feel like there's a trap set. I don't know if Carlos Rodon's a trap, but I think Jamino set a trap for me to read that out loud. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just being presumptuous. But yeah, I'm aware of Lizzo's existence. I'm not really sure what that word is, and I'll just skim over it. The people, you remember your first concert? People are throwing out their first concert in chat. You remember where your first concert was?
I do. Yep.
Do you want to share it? Are you ashamed?
Well, no, it was in Maine. It was a Fish concert.
Oh, of course. Your first concert's Fish. You probably think that's a weird standard to set, because that's an anomaly. It's in its own world. I've never been to a Fish concert, but I'm aware of what's going on, the shenanigans. But
I don't know
what are concerts like that?
Talking about, Dean. I don't know what you're talking about.
How old were you? Do you remember the age, more or less?
It's like 19 or 20.
Yeah. I can't remember which one came first for me, but I was at Woodstock 94, not the one that you saw the documentary on. And I was a young child. I was there working with my uncle, but not worth getting into. And when the fences came down, and we just kind of walk in. So I was hanging out there, and then I also saw Bush. Remember the band Bush? Glycerine?
I remember Bush.
Yeah, there you go. And I believe Hum, who had a song called Stars, opened up for Bush. There's somebody else I'm missing. It's not quite coming to me, but those are my first two concerts. What else does the people have? Feel free to share your first concert in chat. Go for it. As we're kind of working our way through this slate. Are you getting any deeper as far as the pitchers? Is there anybody else we should acknowledge their existence? Like Gonsolin has been solid all year long, but kind of lucky, kind of overpriced, not a great K guy. I don't think I'm going there. Have we ignored anybody? I haven't seen anybody thrown out in the chat that we should be focusing on.
I kind of like Mike Clevenger, and I kind of like Adam Wainwright on DK, but I think those are more of just pinch guy, get a pinch or two, as you like to say. GPPs. Yeah. I think that's it. I don't think you should pitch Gonsolin tonight. I think that this is not the right slate for him at all. Like you don't need to be spending that much money on such a kind of like mediocre pitcher. There's so many better pitchers tonight.
Moki says first concert was Elvis. That can't be. Is it Costello or is Moki just screwing with us? Presley was like the 50s, right? How old is Moki? that can't be true. Elvis Costello, maybe Elvis Gerback placing guitar. I'm not aware of.
Yeah, but didn't Elvis tour into like this late 60s?
Yeah, I guess he did. Hawaii, famously, he played a special on Hawaii on TV or something like that when he had the 3 channels.
Did he die in the early 70s?
I believe so. He died on the toilet allegedly, right after his famous peanut butter and banana sandwich.
He was touring up until the time he died. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so maybe Presley. Wait, hold on. Wait. Moki says Presley is 76. Oh, wait, does Moki believe Presley is still alive? Is that according to the national?
Oh, well, that's possible. You never know.
Okay. I've seen him on the Inquirer a couple times, but I don't know how legit that rag is. In 76. He saw him in 76. Okay. My bad. I think he was saying he was in 76. I just can't read. That's my issue. My apologies. Yeah. Horde. By the way, remember the Horde tour? I think that was Blues Traveler, I believe. I loved Blues Traveler and John Popper back in the day. They actually came to my school and played. It's kind of cool. You a fan of the Blues Traveler? Remember John Popper and all his harmonicas?
Nope. I got nothing for you on that one, Dean.
Oh, dude, check him out. He is incredible. And he makes a cameo appearance in Kingpin, everybody's favorite bowling comedy of all time.
Kingpin's a great movie. I'm gonna watch that again.
It's fabulous. Bill Murray, spectacular. Woody Harrelson. Well, I don't know if it's number one because Big Lebowski, does that count? Is that a bowling movie? Maybe, possibly.
That's another great movie, though.
Yeah, well, it's got bowling in it. We'll call it a bowling movie. Sure, why not? Give me the summary. I don't see anybody else now. We're just talking like music and such in the chat. Yeah, people are shocked that I know who Blues Traveler is. Dude, I love John Popper back in the day. He also played the theme for Roseanne. That makes sense. Yeah, okay. The harmonica. And Big Lebowski is a bowling movie, according to Michael in chat. Hey, give me the summary as far as the arms. Nobody else is talking to pitcher as far as I can tell. Like, there's a lot of good options, but you got to make some cuts, right?
So I think that your cuts are Verlander and Burns, but your priorities are Ray and Rodon. Then you get Fried and Lopez. Cease and Suarez are okay. I'm kind of mediocre on both of them. I think that you can sprinkle in Kluber if you want to, but that's about it. So I think Verlander and Burns are your cut. Ray and Rodon are your priorities. Fried and Lopez for tournaments. Fried is probably my favorite. If you want to get real different in a large field, I think Fried is my favorite. You got anything distinctly different, Fanduel versus DK, as far as the build, I was just thinking about that, and I really don't see something glaring that's like makes it really a big difference. I would say there's no chance I play Kluber, on Fanduel. I would X him out, but I think he's an okay SB2 on DK. Yeah, I'm good with that. I think that's a good thought. Before we dive in and talk about favorite players position by position, we're going to do some stacks as well, too. We do want to mention to the people, if you don't know by now, NFL preseason is here. PSU fans, he's got the knowledge, he's got the analysis, he's got the expertise here, bringing it the RotoGrinders content. I see Jamino in chat. Jamino also just absolutely crushes preseason. I think he secretly loves preseason. He does like the XFL content when that was a thing. USFL. I guess XFL is going to be a thing again, right? Isn't The Rock bringing it back? I think it's coming back, right? Do you know this? Do you care? It's coming back. I don't know anything about what you're talking about.
The XFL is going to make a third. It's coming back for a trilogy.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's happening again, and I think The Rock is a part of it, if I'm not mistaken. But screw that for now. We're talking about NFL preseason, NFL regular season, 15 days until the kickoff Thursday night, right? The Thursday night official kickoff, 15 days away. You can get a taste of our free NFL preseason breakdown videos for tonight's slate. If there is a slate, this is an old copy, and I'm not sure if there's a game tonight. I might have been sent an old copy. I don't know if there's preseason football tonight. If there is, I guess there's a video out there lurking. That's why you hit the like button and you subscribe and turn on notifications, because if you want to watch the preseason content, and of course you got to join the Discord as well, because people are just you need the beat writers preseason wise. It's all about opportunity. It's all about getting on the field, and so many guys don't play. That's how you score fantasy points. I'm sure you know this, Tim, but no matter how talented you may or may not be, if you're not on the field, right, you can't accumulate. This is 101 fantasy.
That's some really deep stuff, Dean.
I don't want to get lost in the weeds and the people. I'm overwhelming the people with too much good stuff. But yeah, it's important to step on the field to get yourself some fantasy points. We want to mention there's a discount going on, premium for NFL Premium. If you want to just a la carte, of course, we have the premium by all the sports with the exception of NASCAR as well. But if you want just NFL a la carte, $299.99 the annual NFL subscription. That will take you from preseason, which is right now, all the way through the entire season, locks your way for all year. And of course, that's showdown content, all the good stuff, the rankings, the articles, the videos. I'm sure I've missed something. The projections, the optimizer, everything you want football-wise. Less than 300 smackers. Get in on it. This is right about the time, Tim. I don't know about you, but right about the time where I get excited for NFL. I'm not one of these guys that cares about every little beat writer story, 4 months out. But now I care. Now I'm on board. I'm actually in a best ball, like a slow draft with my friends. But I'm in on it. I'm finally excited. It took me a while, but I'm always late to the party. How about you? Are you excited for NFL? Is this the time you get excited?
Is it bad that I'm getting excited for NHL, Dean?
Oh, man. Hey, tell me this, because I've heard the Panthers did a terrible job with that trade. Is that what is your take on it?
Huberdeau and is it?
They got the Chuck. They signed to a ton of money. Yeah, and Huberdeau. Yeah, and
they got rid of Huberdeau, right?
I love Hubie. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Is that bad?
I don't think it's bad. I think it's kind of neutral. I don't know the contract details of that deal.
To Chuck at like 7 or 8 years or something like that, and I guess he wanted out. And Huberdeau only like 1 or 2 years left, and I'm not sure if he signed an extension or not.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I really like Huberdeau on that team. So like if I'm matching talent versus talent, it's probably a neutral trade. But I liked Huberdeau with Florida. Like I think that he fit really well with their style, so I can see why people would be upset.
Yeah, it's weird because it's a bold move and one of the bigger trades you've seen in hockey in a while. But Bueller is going to get Tommy John surgery, expected to be out until 2024. That's a bummer.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah, Seattle's lineup came out. Seattle, one of my I don't want to say a sneaky stack. I don't know how sneaky they may or may not be, but I like them tonight. It's a little bit off the board. J-Rod, France, Winker, Flanagan, Santana, Suarez, Crawford, Raleigh, and Frazier. You tell me what your favorite stack is, and I'm going to give a refresh as far as Ross article. Maybe he's updated. Not sure if he's updated or not, but it's still orange-yellow as far as the Toronto-Boston game for what it's worth. Things look about as expected with fairly widespread storms. I think a late start is highly likely, and a postpone is certainly possible, though I do think they are more likely to play than not. Didn't Bill Burr just play there in Fenway? I don't know if you saw that. I don't know if that was last night or the night before, whatever it was. Just happened. I just saw him tweet it out. But I guess they turned it over pretty quickly. But how cool is that? Like, he's a hometown Boston guy. Probably loves – I think he's a Red Sox fan. I assume he's a Red Sox fan. He does a lot of sports talk. But, that's got to be like a dream come true for him. Pretty cool.
I would assume that was a blast for him.
Yeah. You a Burr guy? You like Bill Burr?
He's all right.
All right, fair enough. Who's your favorite comedian? You have one that threw off the dome?
I'm not ready to answer that question. I have to think about it. I'll get back to you on that one.
Fair enough. No worries. There's no pressure.
But I don't want to. I don't want to get canceled, Dean.
Oh no, who are you gonna? Who are you gonna say?
Dean, I don't want to get canceled.
I'm not okay. All right, fair enough. I mean, it's comedy in theory. Like there should be no. Well, whatever. Let's not get into it. Hey, give me your favorite stacks tonight. Who we stacking up? We talked about it earlier. The Coors game's got a big number, but not necessarily, not bad pitchers they're facing, not great lineups, but it is Coors. Houston's got a good spot there against Sanchez. We talked about Atlanta. Who's popping for you as some of your favorite stacks tonight?
I want it to be Toronto, and it sounds like that's not going to happen for me. because I only play one lineup. So I think I'm just going to accept that the weather's not going to cooperate. I don't want to eat the Texas chalk, even though I completely understand if other people want to. I think they are in a good spot. Same thing with Colorado. Definitely prioritize the lefties with Colorado. I think that my favorite is Houston.
Yeah.
Aaron Sanchez got his contract selected by Minnesota, and I don't really understand or why he's still in the majors.
No.
But I don't know stuff like this. Like I don't really get why he still has a job. But
You're trying to cancel Aaron Sanchez.
I am. I don't understand why he still is in the majors.
I don't want to frame this in a way, but like, take a guess. How old do you think Aaron Sanchez is?
35.
He's only 30.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised too.
You tricked me, Dean.
Well, I could have I was framing it in a way where like he's surprisingly young, I think.
I feel like he's been around forever, and I feel like he hasn't been good forever.
Yes, he had a good run for a while.
He did.
Toronto?
Did.
This is the same guy who was on Toronto, right?
Yeah.
I think so. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. This season, not a huge sample, 36 innings. Sierra 4.44. Not he does have one skill, right? He's got a skill. He gives ground balls, 51% ground balls. So you got to give him that. He's got a skill, which is more than some guys have.
That's true. But I also feel like it's a good way to get BABIP though, because it's easier to find a hole with the ground ball. You know what I mean? Like it's easier to extend an inning with a ground ball. So
he's got the highest hard hit rate on the slate at 49.6%. And his BABIP on the season is 372. So he's been unlucky there.
Yeah, but
he's getting hit hard. So maybe he's not like he's supposed to give a bunch of hits.
I mean, I know he's not supposed to, have that bad of a BABIP, but that's what happens when you're that bad. So I really like Houston tonight. They're my favorite if I can't play Toronto.
Let's see. What is he saying? Broccoli Boy is saying your favorite comedian is Pee Wee Herman? He's your buddy, I think, right? Is that you confirm or deny?
Broccoli, that's not what I'm saying.
He's back, by the way. At least he was back for a while. He was in Blow.
Monitors in the chat that can get rid of people like Broccoli. Isn't that a possibility? Don't we have people for that?
He says you're a big Carrot Top fan too. Can you confirm that?
No.
Carrot Top's got a hell of a workout regimen. That dude is ripped.
I haven't seen him in a long time.
He's got a Vegas. He's at a Vegas stay. He's at one of the hotels in Vegas. At least he has been.
Oh, he does one of those things.
Last I checked in on Carrot Top, it's been a while, but I'm pretty sure he's got
That's one of those. Dean, you obviously follow him on Twitter.
I mean, there's nothing wrong. I mean, prop comedy. I know comedians hate. Traditionally, comedians love goofing on other comedians that are prop comedians. But there you go. Hey, all right. Let's see what else we have as far as stacks. Or is there anything else that's worth noting, or shall we just go around the horn and see what pops up organically?
I think there's some interesting, value or whatever you want to call it with Kansas City against Davies.
But who's left, man? Vinny Linguini, Tortellini Tuesday's gone as well.
Yeah,
look how bad that Casey lineup is.
Vinny Pastrami is gone, but still, I think it's cheap. And I think that if you're looking to, double pay up, which is definitely a viable option tonight, you're going to need some of this kind of cheap nonsense, I guess, because it's not really nonsense.
Prado is a top 100 prospect in baseball. He's 2K. Melendez has some power. Witt's solid. He's got a really nice price on Fanduel. Witt, I think he's like 2.9 over there. He's going to be popular. 4.9, you can certainly pay, but obviously you're paying basically market price there. Michael A. Taylor, 2K, batting fifth. He's got some power. Geez, Drew Waters? Who is Drew Waters? You know Drew Waters?
I do not know who Drew Waters is.
I don't know who that. No, is this somebody I've missed, or is this like a Mlb debut for Drew Waters? I'm not sure that person is, but he probably got called up for Vinny Pasquantino, I'm guessing. On the IL, he landed today.
Is Vinny P on the IL?
Yeah, he hit the IL. And Buxton. 23-year-old Waters, 12th prospect on the team. Let's see, second round draft pick in 2017. This year, he's got a little bit of speed. AAA this season, combination of AAA and AA. Well, no, he was in Atlanta. I'm not sure what happened there. Was there a trade or something like that? But 12 homers and 18 stolen bases this season for what it's worth in AAA. He had a little cup of coffee in single A. He skipped double, went from single to triple. Okay, there you go. There's a new person. I don't know if he's played baseball yet in the majors or not. I guess he's played one game. There you go. Maybe I missed it.
I also think Boston is, if we can play that game, Boston's pretty good on FanDuel. So I think that they've got some cheap pieces. I'm just trying to find like some kind of cheaper, because there's so much high end pitching. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to find some cheap options.
Bill says O'Hearn season in chat. I know whenever a lefty comes in, he gets the hook historically, but I don't know if there's anybody left. Like who's left on that bench that would hook him? But typically O'Hearn would get the hook when a lefty comes in. Let's see.
I think if you want to go that route, you should play Prado.
Nationals lineup just came out, by the way, and Voit is in it for what it's worth.
That's really good for strikeouts.
Call Meneses, Voit, Cruz, Thomas. So Lane Thomas down to the 5 hole. Call up to the 1 hole. Hernandez, Adams is catching. Who's Adams?
Is it Riley?
Yeah, that's who it is. Yeah, it's got to be who it is. I feel like we haven't seen him in a while. Is that right to say? Like he was one time a prospect. Abrams batting 8th, which is good. Huge prospect, but not there just yet. And Vargas, man, this Washington lineup, pretty brutal. What do we think of the Phillies stack? Antonio wants to know in chat thoughts on the Phillies.
I like the Phillies quite a bit. I think that they come with a little bit of strikeout risk, but I don't think they're going to be that high owned, and they have an explosive ceiling. So I have no issue with it.
All right, I'm being told there's a shortage of likes in the chat. Just hit that like button, smash it, whatever you want to do as far as your adjective of choice. We would appreciate if you subscribe to the channel as well, turn on those notifications. But the likes helps us out with the old algorithm. I guess we had over 300 yesterday because we were giving stuff away. I don't have anything to give away today. You got anything to give away, Tim? If we hit a certain number, what do you have for the people?
I don't. I have nothing to give away. I can't even get swag from our own producer.
Dude, so, we had this conversation before. Did you not hit him up?
I can't get a hat, a sweatshirt, a T-shirt. So, I've got nothing.
I know a guy. Like, tell me what you want, and I'll get it for you. I'll make it happen. I know a guy who knows a guy, so I can hook it up for you. Just slide in the DMs.
All right, I'll try.
Producer Steve just said, "Well, get whatever you want." I think you're just shy about asking. You don't want to ask. I don't know what's going on.
Like I said, Dean, I don't like to just squat in other people's houses. Like
I don't know who would do that. That'd be the nerve.
I find it rude, Dean.
It's definitely a character flaw. Somebody would take advantage of somebody's generosity and just overstay their welcome. It's somebody's birthday today, apparently, according to the chat. Let's see. It's Lane Thomas's birthday. Let's get excited for Lane Thomas. Good for him. Derek wants to know how would you stack Toronto? You like the Toronto stack? How would you stack it?
It might be too expensive to do a full 5-man stack. I'm glad that we brought this up. I honestly would just try to get Vlad and Springer and maybe Alejandro Kirk or something like that. You probably can't 5-man them, especially the way that I want to pay up for pitching. So if you really want to 5-man them, you'd have to include like Biggio, which I'm not crazy about.
Yeah.
So most likely, if I can play them, if Roth gives the okay, it's just going to be a 3-man.
I want to see if Roth. Typically around this time, it seems like this is when Roth would update his article. Maybe he's already updated and I just didn't notice it. But I gave it a refresh, and I don't think anything's changed. Again, Roth will be on about 25 minutes. Let you guys know what's going on in Boston and everywhere else as far as precipitation and things of that sort.
I will say one thing real quick, Dean, about Toronto.
Yeah.
FanDuel, they're much more affordable. So you got like Gurriel 2.8, Kirk 2.9, Bichette 2.9, Chapman 2.9. So you might be able to make a 4-man work on that site, but DK would be next to impossible unless you really want to punt with like Biggio.
I think Voth is like the best punting pitcher for the record. I don't know if I'm going to go there, but if I absolutely need one, I think it's my favorite SP2. I saw Doug in chat asking about JBJ. He's 2K. I mean, like, here's your mush. I'm not playing JBJ. Like, I just wait. Is that a revenge game? It is. This is a first blood revenge game. I think it is, right?
I'm not sure if it's the first one or not.
Oh man, I mean, that means he's going to get at least a single. I mean, this Winkowski guy is brutal and he's worse versus lefties. So, I guess maybe, but
and this Boston bullpen is just trash. Like
Boston, just in general, man, it's a disaster.
They're real bad on the pitching end. So, but no, I really can't get behind JBJ, but he'll probably hit a home run and steal base. So
yeah, I mean, whatever. If you desperately need the salary, I don't hate it.
You'd have to be part of a full Toronto stack if you do that.
If we get like 150 likes, you'll tell the people your favorite comedian. How about that? You can't tell him. Who could it possibly be if you can't say? I don't know. Jamino was speculating it was Sam Kinison, but he might be. I think he's before your time, Sam Kinison.
I was gonna say I don't think I know who that is.
Yeah, he screams a lot. He's in Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield. He's like the history professor.
Okay.
That's probably not helping. Let's go around the horn. Let's give our favorite plays position by position. See what else is coming up organically there in the chat. Going to keep an eye on it. What are we doing as far as catcher? Are we spending up? We just punting it and save some salary? What's the plan?
Well, we're probably going to have to punt it. And, I say that I don't want to play Texas, but if you're playing cash games, you should probably play what's his name, Dean?
Oh, it's not Heim, right? It's the backup.
No, it's the other one. Vielro?
Melbreeze.
Yeah, Melbreeze. Yeah, you probably want to play Melbreeze. Travis d'Arnaud continues to be, I think, a little underpriced. 3,300. I would like to play Alejandro Kirk. Honestly, I think you could play him in like a unique 4-man build on FanDuel too with Vlad, but we'll have to see about Roth. Salvador Perez, that Kansas City stack, I think is very affordable and has a massive ceiling. I'm trying to think what else, who I'd really, really want to play. I mean, like I said, I think Philadelphia is in a good spot, but boy, 5,600 for JT Realmuto is a ton.
That's steep, man. What about the KC catchers? Did you mention them?
Yeah, I mentioned Perez, but you're right. You're right, though. Melendez is also a really good play.
By the way, we just got the Dodger lineup. No Leprechaun, no Justin Turner. Betts leading off. Trey Turner, Freeman, Will Smith, Muncy, Lux, Gallo, Taylor, Bellinger. So they go 5, 6, 7, 9 lefties, right? Bunch of lefties in that Dodgers side.
There's no way I'd play Burns tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Freeman, of course, is another lefty, too. That's lurking. I mean, look, anything can happen, and he's a quality pitcher, and sometimes good pitching beats good hitting, but it doesn't seem all that necessary if you're playing, 3-man or, 3-entry, 1 single-entry max, but it is one way to get different, and you can roster like the chalkiest lineup you want if you want to do that. I understand why somebody would do that, but I'm probably not. I'm with you as well. Cleveland lineups out: Kwan, Rosario, Ramirez, Naylor, Jimenez, Gonzalez, Palacios, Hedges, and Straw. Hey, speaking of Straw, did you see the dude at Yankee Stadium yesterday or no?
Yes, I did.
The dude made a hot dog straw. No, okay, it's bad enough. Well, look, I don't know if it's delicious or not. I've never tried this before. It doesn't seem spectacular. But he used his hot dog as a straw for his beer. Like, there's a lot of things wrong. Who uses a straw for beer? And if you're going to use a straw, you're using a hot dog straw? I don't know. I mean, he's living his best life. Good for him.
I didn't understand what was going on there, Dean. I was mortified, just like everybody else.
Is that better or worse than the lady at the tennis who was dipping her chicken fingers into a Coke?
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, that's an older video, but like she was dipping chicken tenders into it looked like a Coke.
Are you archiving these, Dean? Like, do you have a folder? You know,
I remember weird things.
you
know. Ryan wants to know thoughts on a licorice straw, specifically a red vine. I don't know if I've ever done that before, but that seems, I mean, probably not with a beer, right? But maybe with like a soda. I don't know. Yeah, or like a slushy, possibly. I've never done that, but that's a little more on point, I think, than the old hot dog beer. Yeah, that guy is he getting like roasted at work today? I mean, everybody at work, and they've all seen the video, right?
Oh, I mean, he's definitely getting roasted at work. Definitely.
But you know, maybe it's delicious and he's really winning and we just don't know. I don't think so, but you never know. You got anything else at catcher? You want to talk about first base?
I do just want to say quick thing about catcher. I think you really can or could play catcher on FanDuel, just because like Perez is 2,700, Melendez is 2,400. Real Muto's cheaper on FanDuel. It's Kirk is 2,900. You've got some seriously good bats at catcher today at really affordable prices. Other than Vlad, I'm not crazy about first base today, at least at the high end. So I think, I know a lot of people just try to avoid catchers on FanDuel. I think that make for really good tournament plays today.
Well, you mentioned first, I guess your favorite player is Vlad. Of course, we live in the world of a salary cap, so he takes a pretty good chunk of it. How much are you prioritizing him as a big spend? And if not Vlad, who are you rostering as far as first base?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for cash games, it's Nate Lowe.
Yeah.
On DK. But for tournaments, I wouldn't mind going to like that Kansas City Prado for 2.1 or flat 2. I can't remember, but he's very, very cheap. I think that the Yankees are always in play. I know that Walker's reverse splits, but I think Rizzo is fine. I'm trying to think. Like, I want to play Houston, but there's no way I'm playing Gurriel. I think he's the guy that I'm going to leave off. I'm trying to find some. Christian Walker's always a good tournament play.
Lots of power.
Yeah, lots of power. That's going to be completely on owns. Trey Mancini on FanDuel is one of my favorites, 2,700. I'm going to try to play him at the outfield for 4K on DK. I know we're not there yet, but, I really like that Houston team.
I love Mancini. I love that ballpark. Yeah. I like the matchup. I know Sanchez is more of a ground ball guy, but he's also, I believe, reverse splitsy too. We've talked about it many times about Mancini's swing. Where he hits his fly balls is perfect for Houston, right in the Crawford boxes. I think that's a good, and Houston's going to be one of the more popular teams, and maybe Mancini is a little bit less owned than guys like Alvarez and Tucker. We'll get to them. Obviously, they're distinctly better hitters, but of course they cost more money. But Houston basically 1 through 7. I say 1 through 7, but Gurriel's batting second. But 1 through 7, and if you want to flat out punt it with a catcher with your stack, of course you can play some Maldonado. He actually has a decent amount of homers this year for a crap catcher. He's definitive like all or nothing. And Dubon's just sort of, he's there. He's playing baseball as well. Let's jump to second base. Hey, there's Jose Altuve, keystone position for sure. Marcus Semien is now leading off on the road in Coors Field. Basically the best spot you possibly can be in. 5 legitimate chance at 5 legitimate ABs. Not that Aaron Marquez is the worst pitcher in the world, but going to get that bullpen as well too, probably for 2 at bats. You tell me. Second base, is that where we're starting? Is Semien? Of course, he's no longer 2.4 on FanDuel, but he's still pretty cheap over there.
You're supposed to. I prefer Altuve.
Yeah.
The bat would disagree with me. Other projection systems would probably say Semien also, but I prefer. And there's not there's not that big of a price difference. So I'm really going to stick to my guns and say that I would prefer to play Altuve tonight. Obviously, it's cores. They could put up, 20 runs between the two teams, but I'm going to play Altuve. I really like Gleyber Torres' price on Fanduel. I also think he's playable at 4K on DK. So I really like him. I really like Wilmer Flores. Drew Hutchinson might be the worst pitcher on the slate, or it's really close. So he's, the Giants are super cheap. They just come with a ton of pinch hit risk, but Flores is not going to get pinch hit for. So I think he makes for pretty good exposure to that. If we get okay weather, I think you can play Christian Arroyo as a punt if you need it. I think that's it.
Like, do we think Belt is available as a pinch hitter? I don't know. Maybe. He was just scratched. I'm just trying to think, and I'm pulling up the Tigers bullpen right now. I want to see how many lefties and righties they have, because I think off the top of my head, they're mostly right-handed. Chafin, let's see, pitched on Sunday. Soto, I believe, is their closer, right? They have two lefties, Chafin and Soto. I think Soto is their closer, so he wouldn't come in unless it's a closing situation. He pitched on Saturday and Sunday. So theoretically, unless they have like a long man, I'm not aware of, it's kind of sort of a fringe starter. There's only one lefty in that pen, unless it gets to the bottom of the ninth or top of the ninth, I guess. And Detroit's up by a few, and they're trying to close it out. Soto will come in, and then you'll see the Austin Slaters of the world come in. Like Wade will get the hook, Listella will get the hook, depending on where they are in the lineup, obviously.
So
It's just a tricky thing to try to figure out.
That's a really good call, Dean, about how many lefties they have, because the Giants are super cheap. And I think that, you could play them across the board, considering they don't have many lefties to go to. So
we got Love Chat in the chat, by the way. Shout out to Love Chat. Shout out to the chat. Do hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on those notifications. Somebody was saying the bat was acting funky earlier. They usually are really on top of correcting that. I'll give a refresh and see. Cardi or somebody's going to be on top of it, but the way I'm seeing it, I'm seeing projections right now. So maybe that corrected itself. That was a comment made earlier. Just want to throw it out there. I'm on the clock, by the way, on my slow draft, and the people are texting me and letting me know. Like, they don't know I'm doing a show. They don't know I've only been doing this for how many years? But I understand. I can multitask. I think I'm taking Chase Claypool. What do you think? You like Claypool this year? He plays. He's wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I know who he is, Dean. Well, what are your other options, Dean? I need to know the context of this.
Well, the context is the people in this draft are insane, and we're in the 10th round, and like 25 quarterbacks have already been taken. People have 3 quarterbacks. It's a 1-quarterback league, and people have 3 quarterbacks after 10 rounds. These are lunatics. They don't know what they're doing. The problem is I only have 1 quarterback, and there's no quarterbacks left. Nobody else is playing right. So, like,
then you need trade bait.
No, there's no trading. It's a best ball. Once it's done, it's done. Yeah. So, and I got Kirk Cousins as my 1 quarter. The people don't care about this. Why did I bring this up? But I think we're going to go with Claypool. I think that's what we're taking. But he's the best player available. He was the only guy on my queue. So he was the last man standing. As far as I know, he's healthy. Going to be playing the slot this year. It's a lot of talent. All right. Hey, we're talking about third base, right? We're done with second. Moving on to third. What do you have as far as the hot corner?
I think Rafael Devers is my favorite play, in a vacuum. Again, wait on Roth for that. Evan Longoria is super cheap on FanDuel. He is, again, a guy who has no pinch hit risk. And I think that if you need to punt, he's a really good punt, even if it's in your utility. I think you could punt with him. Ryan McMahon, if I'm going to attack Dunning, it's going to be with lefties. So I think he's in a really good spot. Austin Riley, despite him doing absolutely nothing last night, I think is a really good play. Bobby Witt on FanDuel. Man, that Kansas City team is cheap in a lot of different places.
I thought you were going to say they're so terrible. I guess they're both, right?
Oh, yes, they are. That's true too. But
I've lost so much money in Kansas City. I keep chasing them, and it's just worse. but I might play some. I'm not going to fully 5 it, but I might, a 2 or 3 man, that kind of thing, or an a la carte piece if I need it.
Matt Chapman at 2,900 on FanDuel is really good. 4,800 might be a little too much on DK, but I think you could play him on FanDuel.
The chat's giving me the business as far as taking Claypool. You don't know where I'm taking him. They're upset that I took Claypool. Just for context, you want your context? Let's see. Kadarius Toney was taken after him, and before him was Brian Robinson and Michael Carter. This is the realm of the chat. We're at the draft room right now. Not great. What are you gonna do? We still have like 10 more rounds left.
Oh,
Hey,
I just want to say another third baseman that I don't know why I forgot to mention, Alex Bregman. That's probably my favorite third baseman.
Would you play him mostly just a Houston stack, or would you play him by himself?
I think you do both. I really like getting to Houston today. I probably would prefer to play him even over Devers. So Bregman's my favorite. I apologize for missing that one.
So Grant's in the chat. He's also in the building. He says, who actually says he sees something funny happen? I don't know if he's lurking. I'm not sure if he's going to come down. I'm in sort of like my own little downstairs layer at this point. So I'm kind of my own little world. His dog's not too far from me either. But maybe Grant's going to be chiming in. I don't really know what he's up to. But yeah, we're here for the next 6, 7, 8 minutes or so.
Do we get a turd bomb today?
I don't know. Maybe he's got a turd bomb for the people. He's got to do something to turn it around. Grant crushed all year, and he's in a bit of a scuffle right now. So he's trying to, I don't know, how do you break a curse, or how do you figure out how to get out of a slump? He's a slump buster tonight. We'll see how that goes down. Google George Brett slump buster. That's a fun conversation. Hey, what do you have as far as shortstop tonight?
Corey Seager is your cash game play, definitely. You're going to have to make the decision whether you want to be overweight or underweight in GPPs. My feeling is to be underweight. That's just kind of where I'm headed tonight. I don't want to eat the Texas chalk, but if you guys feel differently, then go for it. I think that I think Bobby Witt is a good play, really, on both
The FanDuel
sides.
price is really good.
Yeah, I mean, that FanDuel price is just sitting there, and I think I'm going to play him on FanDuel at least.
Hey, Grant's lurking in the other room. The people want a turd bomb, Grant. Who's going to bang one out tonight?
Boom. And Big Dumper.
The big dumper is batting 8th. Does that bother you at all?
No, he's always batting 8.
Sometimes he bats 7th or 6th. They move him up a little bit, but yeah, big dumper. Kyle Raleigh batting 8th tonight. I don't mind that. Was it like 5-1 or something like that?
Kyle Raleigh is plus 420. Boom is +500.
Somebody in chat was asking about Alec Boehm. He banged out a couple homers not too long ago. Starting to turn the season around there in Philadelphia. Has been hot of late. Don't mind him. Are we done with shortstop here? Are we going to move on to the outfield?
Jeremy Pena for tournaments.
I like it. Am I hearing you correctly? Maybe I'm not. Houston's it sounds like Houston might be like your single entry, 3 entry max stack tonight.
If I can't play Toronto.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say is I'd rather play Toronto. And get to some cheap Kansas City. Maybe I look into a little bit more with the Giants, like you mentioned. If I can't play Toronto, then it's going to be Houston.
By the way, you were talking about like worst pitchers on the slate. Wait, Grant, we can't play music too long. Just a heads up because
Play Spotify.
oh, and he's gonna play some Nickelback. I know what he's doing.
No, you don't.
Oh, he's gonna get me back. He's gonna play some. Well, there you go. If you're just joining the show now, you're probably confused. Like, well, why? Oh. That's the Costco pizza talking that Grant had earlier. Grant's having himself a good time here. How does he even Tim, how does he have that button on the ready? Who has that? Who has like a fart button?
Grant does.
Of course he does.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense, actually.
Let's jump to the outfield, give our favorite outfield plays. Whatever's in the chat's mind, we'll knock out in the next 5 minutes as well, too. And again, we got Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth coming in like 5 minutes or so, give or take. Going to tell you what's going on weather-wise. And then Dave Potts, 2-time millionaire winner, as well as STL Cards, who's probably giddy at the Albert Pujols these days, banged out another homer earlier today. What do you have as far as? Am I turning red? Am I blushing? I don't think so. Maybe I am. I don't know. I can't control these such things. What do you have as far as outfielders today?
Jordan Alvarez and Kyle Tucker are my two favorite. George Springer, definitely if we can get that game. Lars Nootbaar on DK.
DK only.
Yeah, DK only. If you need the salary, I think he's only 2,400. So no, I'm not crazy about St. Louis as a stack, but it's good to have somebody like that in case you need it. Yeah, he's 2,700. I really like that as a salary saver. Eloy Jimenez is 3,900 on DK. We haven't talked much about Chicago. They're pretty cheap, especially on FanDuel, but they've been really bad. So I can't really get behind full stacking them, but if you wanted to take a couple pieces here and there, I'd have no problem with that. Andrew Benintendi, batting leadoff, 2,800 on FanDuel. I'm trying to see his
I feel like we completely ignored that game, Yankees and Mets, and it wouldn't surprise me.
I really like Judge and Torres. I said that. Like, I bet them to hit homers today.
Yeah.
Walker's reverse splits. So, I mean, I know that Benintendi's lefty, but I really don't mind, that middle of that order, Yankees team, Judge, obviously, and Torres, and even Donaldson.
And like for the Mets, I guess I was thinking that too. Like Montas has sucked as a Yankee so far, coming off an injury. Maybe he's not fully feeling healthy. Maybe he's feeling pressure to go out there and perform. The guy, Jordan Montgomery, they just threw away. He's like crushing for St. Louis. By the way, I misspoke. I thought I saw, did the home run account earlier today is like lie, or did I see an old tweet about Pujols homering? I know he homered yesterday, but the Cardinals got shut out today. So that will be really hard for Pujols to homer today. So my bad. I thought I saw him homering today, but I guess that did not happen. 2-0 Chicago versus St. Louis, and the weather's not great for baseball either. If I'm not mistaken, let's pull up the weather edge. Again, this is DK specific. It's not available for the FanDuel slate, but I think Wrigley is more pitcher friendly today. As I get to Ross Weather Edge tool, just want to confirm this. Really nothing jumping off the table for the record. As far as there's no fire emojis, we're starting to cool off a little bit. As far as Chicago tonight. Oh, actually, a slight bump in homers, 6%, 218 game sample. But like the weather doesn't say it's great, 75 degrees, crosswind at 6 miles per hour, runs 0.2 difference. So it's essentially neutral, the ballpark as it is right now for the game tonight. Did you have some more outfielders to run off? Did you have some homers for the people? We got some other stuff going on in the chat. I'm sure we can entertain.
Another good salary option is Michael A. Taylor, like we talked about. I think that Alex Verdugo is a pretty decent play. Trying to think what else. JJ Bleday.
Bleday's pretty solid.
Yeah, another just another salary saver. I try not to just give all the expensive plays because people get mad at me.
Did you mention Grissom, by the way, for Atlanta? DK specifically?
Oh yeah.
If you need a salary saver, I don't mind him. By the way, I was running down the worst pitchers Sierra-wise, and you talk about Hutchinson might be the worst pitcher. He's the second worst. You look at Sierra this season, 5.14, which is rough. Zach Logue. Is it Logue or Loge? But, of course, he's facing the Marlins, so it's like crap offense, crap pitcher, crap ballpark. I don't want to roster too many Marlins.
The Giants really might steal this slate if you can get the pieces right. They're just so tricky, because all of a sudden you're right in your middle of the stack, pinch hit. It's just so hard, but they're in such a good spot today.
Alex is asking why Bleday over Encarnacion and Peyton. Do you have a strong take as far as your one-off Marlin?
No, I don't have a strong take on that. I think that's fine if that's the route you want to go.
Thoughts on Winker? Did you mention Winker? He's pretty cheap, I think, on FanDuel.
Is he?
I think he's like 3K or 2.9 over there.
That's a really good price.
Ryan's asking Lamont Wade or Jock. Like, who's going to – I mean, those guys are vulnerable to the pinch hit, but again, not a lot of lefties in that Detroit bullpen, so it's a little bit more solidified today than it typically would be, I guess. And also, yeah. So
if I have to choose, I'm going to go Jock, but they are both, they're both risky.
Let's see. The DK Live app reported a moose dong when I faded Pujols. Yeah, so maybe there's been maybe I just misread something. I'm not really sure what's going on. Derek wants to know your favorite cheap pitcher on DraftKings specifically. I said mine was Voth. If I'm forced to like scrape the barrel, I don't want to be, but that's the guy. If I'm forced to, I'll do it.
First, Kluber. I'm trying to see if there's anyone real cheap that I would roster.
That's the cheap. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't want to play Voth. I don't want to give that the endorsement necessarily. But if everything else looks beautiful and that's all I have left for a pitcher, I guess. You got anything else for that or no?
What about Jose Suarez?
I have not considered Jose Suarez, I'll be honest. Sell me on Jose Suarez.
I would probably say Jose Suarez if you want to get real cheap. Also I really Herman Marquez 6,800. I think he's viable.
So we have the Crunch Time crew coming in. They probably have no clue what's going on. Chief Mineralogist Kevin Roth. We got STL Cards. We have Dave Potts. Did you hear that noise there in the bathroom, Ross? Was that you, or did you hear that?
No, I heard it. It sounded like someone was on a walkie-talkie or something. I don't know what it was.
I just heard we all just jump in here, and someone, I won't say who, not to name names, said you could play Herman Marquez, and this crazy sound went off. So it could be related. I don't know.
Come on now, Dave.
I know.
Okay.
Hey, Dave, I got a question for you. We talked about this earlier in the show, and if I can get it out, I'm not sure if I can, though. I don't. So Grant wants me out of his house.
Yeah, I'm getting that vibe. I'm getting that.
It's happening. We talked about this earlier today, and Grant officially kicked me out because of he was playing too much Nickelback, and that's what broke me. And we were having the conversation earlier in the show, Cheese. Dave, as a fellow musician, and you say nice things about everybody, you never speak poorly about anybody. I wonder your thoughts on Nickelback, and I'm curious how you're going to phrase it. Give me the Dave Pod thoughts on Nickelback.
Yeah, you'd actually be really surprised to hear my thought. I think everyone would assume that I just despise them and hate them, and that is not the case. Like, I don't really like. I can't. I've never once in my life said, "Oh, I'm going to listen to Nickelback." But when I'm walking around at the grocery store and it comes on, I'm pretty happy about it. There's this formula to songwriting, and there's a reason why 20 years later, 1 million people can sing those songs. There's actually some, regardless,
it's because all 60 of them sound the same.
Yeah, there's something to that. I'm not sure that it's that bad that you can get 20 million people to sing your songs 20 years later. I think
this is all building up to Cheese singing a Nickelback song at the end of the year.
Let's do it, Cheese.
The final end of year montage.
How about Roth? Do you have a hot take as far as Nickelback?
I'm kind of with Cheese. I will literally never go out of my way to listen to them. But if it comes on the radio, I probably won't change it unless it's that Photograph song. I really hate that one.
The chat was really divisive.
Oh, no, I can't do that one.
Cards, your top 3 Nickelback songs of all time?
I don't have the list in front of me to rank them. I haven't listened in a while, but I do have a coworker at the day job that is in the camp of absolutely despises Nickelback. So anytime he pisses me off, I'll just send him a YouTube video of a Nickelback song without telling him what it is in advance and make him get that in his head for the rest of the day. So just like Ross gonna have Photograph in his head for the rest of the day now.
Fair enough. Roth, the people want to know, they don't care about Nickelback right now so much. They care about weather, specifically, I suppose. Well, the one main spot is Boston. So, Tim, unless you got anything else with the boys, we just step aside and get out of here and let Roth do his thing.
Yep.
All right. Y'all going to get cheap meteorologist Kevin Roth tell you what's going on weather-wise. You're going to get Dave Potts. You're going to get STL Cards. That's it for me. I'm going to step aside. Appreciate y'all watching the first. I was going to do the math there. Is it 2/3, 3/4? The first part of Crunch Time. Now the Fanduel sponsor Crunch Time starring Kevin Roth. And there you go. Grant all over it. Right on cue. They say leave on a high note, and George Costanza will be proud. I'm out of here.
Those fart noises? Is it Grant?
I think, I thought it was, I couldn't tell if it was a whoopee cushion or what it was.
Just like going old school, fart noises over there. That's Grant for you, and that's why we love him. And you know who else we love? We love this crew right here. 2 of the sharpest minds in the biz. 1, Mr. Dave Potts, a.k.a. Cheese is Good. How are you, Cheese?
I think I'm good. It's a good slate. It's a lot of everything, and I like a lot of everything.
Okay. How did the delay with Philly and, making some slight pivots work? I'm hoping that game under-delivered, but I feel like some of the dudes maybe did well.
Every game under-delivered. There was not a single team on the whole slate score more than 4 runs.
Yeah.
Crazy wonky. So, while the game was happening, you would have said, well, thank goodness I faded that game, but it was as good as any other game. So it kind of affected nothing.
Yeah. It turned out they late started 4-0 and then just played, and it never rained. So that was fun. I really enjoyed that. We also have STL cards in the house. One of the sharpest GPP minds in the biz, multi-sport phenom, but here talking his true love, his true passion, some PGA, some MLB. What up, cards? PGA kind of your other thing though, right?
Yeah, and college football starts this weekend, so it's about to get busy on the calendar, but that's okay. It's that time of year. So it's a good time in the sports world, and means the playoffs are coming soon, and it means NFL's starting soon too. So it's good. It's a great week. Unfortunately, the Cardinals lost the first game of their doubleheader today, so we'll see if they can split that tonight. And they've been playing really well lately, so can't fault them for losing one. And should be a really interesting slate tonight. I think we've got kind of a barn burner of a Tuesday night slate here with a lot of options.
Okay, can we briefly talk Pujols? Because he's good again.
He is good against lefties. His splits are some of the widest splits I've ever seen, and the Cardinals have faced a lot of lefties lately. He's hitting like 130 against right-handed pitching, but his numbers are insane against lefties, and he's just been mashing lately. Which, of course, last night they won 1-0, and the only run was a home run by Pujols, and it's just really cool for a person that's been a Cardinal fan for a long time. Like, this is his numbers over the last couple weeks have taken me back to like when I was in college, and where you just kind of drop what you're doing to see how his at bats go, and for the little guy that's kind of becoming a fan to get to experience some of that too has been fun. So I hope he gets to 700 homers. If he doesn't, I hope he comes back for another year. I mean, even just playing against lefties, I was kind of critical of them doing it. I figured it was kind of just a publicity stunt at first, but he looks as good as he has in 4 or 5 years, and he's definitely been a help to the team. So that's been awesome.
What's honestly similar, like same thing everyone said when the Yankees signed Carp, like kind of a publicity stunt. He's done, and these two guys are very much obviously not done. Old people can still hit at the right spot in the right time.
I mean, sometimes it just takes a change of scenery. Like clearly Carpenter was not getting it done with the Cardinals hitting coach, and he goes to New York, and that's a good ballpark for his style of hitting, and he turned it around. Unfortunately, got hurt, but then Pujols comes back to St. Louis, and you're working with new coaches and a little fresh start, and it has helped a lot of guys in their careers.
I think there's got to be a gentleman's agreement here with Pujols, where if the game is out of hand, whether you're winning by 10 or losing by 10, you just give him a meatball. You just loft one over the plate and let him go yard. Like, got to get that guy to 700.
And it was clear, last night after the game, I saw a couple Twitter threads about, he's clearly juicing and, all that stuff that's going to happen. And, somebody was rationalizing it by, well, if you're not juicing, then you're not good enough. So you're not going to get to play anyway. So you might as well try. And
I want to say something on that. You look at his numbers the past several years. I don't see any indication at all that he's juicing. I say I'm certain he is not. Obviously, I'm not certain. Like, this is who he is. This guy's not stopped hitting home runs. They're putting him in the right spots to do it. I think it's flat out wrong to accuse him of juicing. If he gets caught, great. But I don't think you can say that. I think you got to cut it out.
Yeah, they're putting him in there against lefties, and he's doing the job when he's in there. And he played against a righty in the doubleheader this morning and went 0 for 3 or something. But he had one hit. But anyway,
let's do the job that we are here to do, and that is break down some of the goods. We've got the Pujols and who's another good hitter? We got the Pujols and the Aaron Judge of the industry here with us. I don't know who's who. we got them both here. Two of the best in the biz. We got to figure out what's happening with this weather. Before I talk Boston, I do want to point out that, Cheese, there is a chance of a delay in New York and Philly. Do we want pitchers in those games?
New York, no. Philly, just barely in tournaments.
Okay. There's this broken line. I think even if we had a delay, it would be like of the 20 to 30 minute variety. So I don't think it's a big deal. But if you hear of a late start in New York or a delay, don't freak out. It's going to be fine. There's just one broken line moving in. Second, we've got Boston to deal with. And everything in my heart and my eyes says it's just going to be okay. There's just not enough rain to postpone this game. So I know the tarp is on the field right now. I know it's dry and sunny right now, and that's not a good combination. But there's just not enough rain to postpone this game. I've got it as orange-yellow. I'm not calling it safe. Sometimes teams do stupid things. Sometimes the weather is unpredictable, but I think they're going to play. So
Was that a Cleveland jab?
No, it was Philly with their stupid late start.
Oh, okay. Well, I
Yeah.
wasn't on last night. I was just reminiscing.
We were
from
all
Sunday.
just losing our mind for the last 5 minutes.
It was
Like, are we supposed to take all these? Like,
Terrible.
it was a mess.
It was terrible. They just had a late start when there was no rain coming, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know why they did that, and now I'm worried they're going to postpone them. They didn't. So sometimes teams make bad calls with the weather, and so I can't promise you anything in Boston. If you want no risk, don't play it. If you can avoid it in cash, great, even better. But it is not a scenario where I would fade it in GPPs. Is that fair? Does that work for everyone?
That is plenty good enough for me.
Okay, cool. So that's where I'm at. Okay, well, let's talk about the slate pitcher-wise here. I think I skipped the most important part of the show, which is to say, hey, this is Crunch Time. It's sponsored by FanDuel. If you don't hit the like button and FanDuel doesn't get the likes and the views, it won't be free anymore. So if you like this show being free, hit the like button. FanDuel Single Entry Series is back, by the way. $50K in bonus cash up for grabs. Top 4 scores each week count towards your combined score. And the winner of each one gets an all-expenses-paid trip to the Single Entry Series Championship in Chicago, September 9th. And Meansy is going to name his firstborn after you if you go. So he's really offering a lot. He's sweetening the pot. So make sure you check that out. Cheese, let's talk about this slate. We're running just a wee bit behind.
Yeah, we'll just jump into pitcher because like on the offense, it's super spread out, and we'll see that as we go through the bats. If it's narrowed down anywhere with chalk anywhere, that'll be on the pitching side with Carlos Rodon and Robbie Ray. On FanDuel, they're essentially the same price. I prefer Rodon, although projections slightly prefer Ray. Ray projects slightly higher owned. I think it's going to be pretty well a split on FanDuel between those two. But those are kind of clearly the best two, and you can get to them. On DraftKings, the salary difference is pretty big, and Ray will be the chalk there because he's $1,100 cheaper. Then you've got this huge mix of really good pitchers who are expensive in tougher matchups. Verlander, Burns, Cease, Gonsolin. I'm not playing any of those guys. I think I have one Dylan Cease on DraftKings, one or two. But of course you can play those guys. This is a bunch of great pitchers at low ownership. It's just that the matchups are so much better for Ray and Rodon that's just what I'm doing if I'm spending up. As far as cheaper stuff, DK wise, Max Fried comes at enough discount. Like he's not cheap, but he's cheap enough to matter. On FanDuel, you kind of got to get down to like Pablo Lopez or Ranger Suarez or Corey Kluber is my cheap enough to matter trio, around from 92 down to 82. Mm-hmm. That's kind of my go-to range if I can't get up over 10K. I don't think there's not many FanDuel lineups you need to go lower than that. You could mess around with like stuff in the 7K range. It's just not enough cheaper than where Kluber and Lopez are at. To me, that's where you stop on FanDuel. DraftKings, you'll run into a few lineups where you need some real cheap nonsense. Someone is going to play Zach Logue because he's 5,400 and he's at home against Miami. That's that someone's not me. Like, I get it that he's at home against Miami, period. Like, that's the whole story. But he is the worst pitcher on the slate for sure. Like, that's not even really close. It's just a salary matchup thing, but I don't think you need that much salary. So I would rather play Austin Voth or Jose Suarez if I need to go cheap. But ideally, just don't go lower than Kluber if you can help it.
Okay. Cards, what are you doing?
Yeah, Cheese nailed it. Ray and Rodon are the top options, but I do like the pivots at fairly enticing ownership in GPPs. Like, I think Cease is fine in GPPs. I'm not on Suarez, and I feel better about that. I mean, there is, like you mentioned, a slight weather concern in Philly. His strikeout prop's only like 4.5. He's not that much of a discount, particularly on FanDuel, where I just don't really think you need Suarez. So he's out for me. I prefer Lopez in kind of that middle tier over Kluber. A little bit more possibility for some added length with Lopez. So against Oakland, he's my preferred mid-range guy. And I don't mind using a little bit of Burns in tournaments as well. The Brewers actually became, I believe, the first team to shut the Dodgers out at Dodger Stadium last night. So, it's not like they're obviously great hitters, but it's not like a good pitcher can't have a good game against them. So I do like Burns and GPPs and Cease and Lopez as kind of the pivots away from Rodon and Ray, who are clearly the top two. Maybe if you're on DraftKings, you decide, okay, I want to use one of those chalky top two, and then I go to a Lopez or a double spend up with the contrarian SP2. A really loaded pitching slate tonight. Lots of good options. Voth would be my preferred punt if you need to go super cheap. No additional options that Cheese didn't at least give a mention to already.
Okay. I will note here that the tarp is still on in Boston. It's 30 minutes roughly until first pitch, so they are at least a late start. So there still is some postponement risk. Just want to put that out there. If you don't want any risk, that's the game to avoid. Everything else is going to be fine. Let's talk about some of the stacks cards. I want to hear your thoughts on what you're doing with these bats.
Yeah, so as Cheese mentioned, ownership is going to be a little bit spread out. I think on DraftKings, you are going to see a little more ownership on Texas in Coors. And I don't necessarily think you need to prioritize Coors tonight. Marquez has certainly not been as good as in prior years. And Dunning, is not an ace by any means, but these guys at least are generally not gas cans. You can see we've only got like a 10.5 total in that game as opposed to like 11.5 or 12 that you'll see in some Coors games. So I don't think, especially when ownership starts to congregate, I don't think you need the Texas-Colorado game to prioritize. My favorite high-end pivot would be Toronto against Boston. Boston's bullpen has been a bit of a mess all year. They got a weak starter going tonight. So if you're not going Coors, I do like Toronto, maybe Atlanta as well. My favorite kind of under the radar team would be Arizona against Heasley for Kansas City, who has awful numbers this year and has really struggled with his command. And then, when you throw in the walks and potential home runs and the fact that they're cheap as well, which is nice on a slate where there's a lot of high-end pitching you want to pay up for. The most accessible stack, I think, to make all that work and still get some upside would be Arizona.
Okay. Cheese, what's your plans here with the bats?
I agree that, Coors it's good. And I mean, it does have the highest total, but it's not a standout and not even really my favorite on either side. I like Texas fine. But I like Houston and Toronto just as much. I also really do like Arizona with cards on that one. I like the late night stuff a little bit with like Seattle and San Diego just going overlooked a little bit. But really, pretty much everything's overlooked. Like, it's just one of those spread out slates that anything you like, it's not hard at all to get way over the field on it. And you could make that case for almost anything. The Braves, the Yankees, the Mets, the Phillies, the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, the Astros, the Rockies, the Rangers, on and on and on. It's very closely bunched.
Okay. Let's go to position by position. Cheese, start us off with a little catcher.
All right. Catcher, we'll say, mostly a DK thing as always, although MJ Melendez is super cheap on FanDuel. I like the Royals catchers. I like Alejandro Kirk. I don't love the cheap stuff. I guess I really wanted to play Jonah Heim, even though he was more expensive. Now that Valori is in the lineup, he's kind of the cheap punt, being in cores. But I really want to try to get up to this like 4K range with one of the Royals or Kirk as much as possible.
Okay. Cards?
Yeah, I think Kirk's playable on FanDuel as well at 2,900. Melendez, who Cheese mentioned, even Perez. Those are the three guys that are kind of under 3K on FanDuel that are probably the only three guys I'd consider on that site. And then, if you're on DraftKings, same options. You just got to pay a little bit more for them. Maybe Travis d'Arnaud has a little bit cheaper of a price tag on DraftKings, comparatively speaking. So he would be my DK additional option along with those other guys.
Okay, first base.
All right, first base. I like Arizona, so Walker I think is fine. Rhys Hoskins is not as cheap or not as expensive as some of the other high-end Philly bats. I don't love picking on Nick Lodolo, but he can be wild at times. And Hoskins against a lefty without an expensive price tag, I think is an interesting option. Even if I'm not in on a lot of the other Philly bats tonight, but Hoskins is one that I will play. I think Nate Lowe and Vlad are probably two of the high-end options that you can look at. GPPs, guys like Matt Olson, Ryan O'Hearn is 2K on FanDuel. He's hitting cleanup for Kansas City tonight. You could do worse than that if you're looking for a punt home run against a low strikeout pitcher in Zach Davies or Hunter Dozier as well. So those Kansas City guys could be nice values at first.
Okay. Just got the announcement that the Red Sox game is delayed. Of course, we're ahead of the curve on that one. We don't need the official announcement. We knew that was coming. Cheese, take me to wherever we are.
Yeah, first base, mostly the same thoughts. I will just say, compared to the outfield, like I don't feel the need to spend all the way up to the top. Like if I can only spend all the way up in one place, I would rather do it in the outfield. Like I like Vlad, and like Olsen and Walker and all these guys, but I do like the outfielders a little better. I think like salary wise, Hoskins and Lowe on FanDuel and Lowe on DK are kind of the standouts.
Okay, second base.
As per usual, like this is just the dead position. Like every day, it's just kind of nonsense. Semien will be the chalk on FanDuel at least, where he's 33. There's a big price difference in Ketel Marte as well, where he's only 29 on FanDuel and like 52 on DK. Wilmer Flores is fine. He's one of the Giants that should theoretically stay in the game all night, which is useful. I like Gleyber Torres a good bit as a one-off in tournaments. And then on DK, you've still got Grissom really cheap if you need someone cheap.
Okay. We'll see cards, second base.
Yeah, I like Torres as a kind of a mid-level play. Grissom on DraftKings. Ketel Marte on FanDuel is only 2,900. They have brought Simeon's price up with Coors. Thankfully, he was still the 2,400 on FanDuel that he was like all of last week. Everybody would be playing him. But, Altuve, even against a righty, like Houston's facing Sanchez tonight. I didn't throw them in the stack mix, but they could certainly be in there as well. Obviously, we prefer Altuve against lefties, but single-digit ownership against a gas can pitcher and leading off, he's another guy you could throw in there as well. Maybe Christian Arroyo if you need something cheap.
Okay, let's go to third.
Bobby Witt on FanDuel, you can use it either third or short, so I do like him, and you can use him either way depending on how your positional flexibility works. Otherwise, Devers would probably be my spend-up at the position. Riley and GPPs. Probably not on Jose Ramirez tonight, but you could always play him. I think if I'm going top dollar, I'd go all the way up to Machado, but I don't think I'm going super top dollar on FanDuel tonight. I'd rather get one of those 3K guys like Riley or Devers, or go cheap, with Witt. Even Evan Longoria hitting fifth tonight against Hutchison, I think is fine as well.
Okay. Quick note. They could play this game in Boston right now and it would never be interrupted. Like, there's no reason to late start it. And there's no reason in my mind that it shouldn't play. Like, there's just light little showers and those are fading away. Like, I expect this game to play and I'm surprised they're late starting it. But, okay. Cheese, I think you are now at third.
Okay. I really do like spending up to be different here. The late night plays are just going to be a little overlooked. That's Machado, Ramirez, and Suarez. So I'm putting them ahead of Devers and Riley, and Bregman, and Ryan McMahon, and Matt Chapman. This is all fantastic plays. But when they're all kind of equally fantastic and we're just, any one of these guys could hit 2 home runs, give me the guy that nobody's playing, which is later in the evening.
Okay, let's go to shortstop.
So Cards mentioned Bobby Witt already on FanDuel. He's so cheap. It's silly. You should play him somewhere. Corey Seager will be the chalk because he's Corey Seager in cores. He's pretty easy to fit on FanDuel. And I mean, you've got a couple spends on DK. So I think he's going to be the popular one of them. You can either pivot by staying in the same range with something like Swanson or Bogarts or Bichette or even Lindor, or you could go like on DK, Brandon Crawford is free. You go all the way down there. I would rather, if I can only spend up a couple places, kind of like I mentioned first, I'd rather do it in the outfield and at third, which is putting Brandon Crawford into some lineups. But on FanDuel, just play Witt if you need it.
Okay, Cards, short.
Yeah, or like I say, if you the flexibility on FanDuel is nice because if you want to play Seager, you can play Witt at third, or if you want to play one of those high-end third basemen, you can play Witt at short. I do agree on Crawford as a value. I mean, he's just cheap, and easily fit any type of lineup build. Even if you're not stacking the Giants, I think you could play him individually. You've got Rojas leading off for Miami tonight, which I think could be a nice salary saver against what we kind of identified as the worst pitcher on the slate in Logue. Bogarts, I think, is fine as well. I think we've pretty much covered shortstop.
Okay, take me to the outfield.
If I had to prioritize one top end play, it would probably be Alvarez against Sanchez, who is just awful. I do like Julio Rodriguez against Fetty as well. Cheese has kind of talked about the late night stuff getting a little bit overlooked, though Rodriguez will have some ownership. It's not like he's going to be massive chalk. He's one of my favorite spends tonight. Gerard Encarnacion is hitting fifth for Miami. He's the minimum salary on a lot of sites, so he's 2K on FanDuel. Winker hitting third for Seattle is pretty cheap as well. You've got the Colorado outfielders. Let's see. Jake McCarthy for Arizona as another cheap guy. Not super high on Philly, as I mentioned earlier, but Castellanos is 2,900 on FanDuel. Eloy Jimenez, I think, is fine. Nobody's playing Ohtani tonight. You can always use him in tournaments, even against a good pitcher. So really interesting. And you can go, like Cheese has mentioned, if you save at a lot of these other positions, you can spend in the outfield, and there's lots of good high-end options. I'll let him name some of his favorites too.
Okay, Cheese, please do.
Yeah, it's pretty great how many there are. Like, none of them can really be that popular. When I say them, I'm talking about the high-end outfielders. I'll say Judge and Alvarez are probably, if something is popular-ish, it's them. But it has to get spread out enough. I don't think you really worry about it. My official ranking of the high-end guys would be Judge, Alvarez, Soto, Rodriguez. But you can go a lot of different ways there. Cards mentioned some cheap guys. I mean, there's so much. Like the Texas outfield has cheap stuff. Kansas City has dirt cheap stuff. You got kind of just random guys like the Giants, just with Yaz and Wade. It's all over the place. And then the mid tier is good, which is another way of saying everything is good. Like you can play, I don't know, Adolis Garcia and Dalton Varsho and Winker and Haniger, and you're good. You can play some Toronto guys. I like every player, everywhere, at every position, basically.
Okay, well, I'm going to put you on the spot because I need one stack to win it all. And I know you like everything everywhere, but If you're playing one stack, where do you think you're going to go? You said not in Colorado.
It would be Seattle.
Seattle. Okay. Cards, one stack to win it all. Let's say single entry. What do you like?
I like Arizona.
There you have it, gentlemen. We have 10 minutes left. My wife texted me and said, save me. So she's getting destroyed by children. So literally at lock, I'm out of here. So let's take some QQs with these remaining 9.5 minutes. FanDuel single entry from Prodigy. Cheese, Melendez and Yordong Alvarez, or La Stella and Juan Soto.
Melendez Alvarez.
Okay. FanDuel Cash from Aside. Cards, you prefer Longo McMahon or Witt Jr. and Salvi Perez?
That was a cash question.
It was.
I still think I like the Royals, though I probably wouldn't use any other Royals other than those two.
Okay, great. DK Cash Cheese, this one's for you from BHB. Valoria Alvarez or Darno and Tuck? That's Tucker. I don't know why I shortened that.
Valoria Alvarez.
Okay. 2v2 GPP question. Cards coming to you. Marte and CJ Cron or Brendan Rodgers and Christian Walker?
Give me the first one.
All right. FanDuel Cash question from Nbad. He says, Cheese, you want Ketel Marte and Calhoun or Simeon and B. Anderson?
Simeon Anderson.
Okay. Gamble, FanDuel single entry. Cards. There's no punctuation here. I'm just going to read it as stated. Michael A. Taylor or Miami Encarnacion?
Give me Encarnacion.
Okay. Sherman's Tanks, FanDuel Cash. Cheese. Is Michael Taylor a viable punt? He's 21 hundo, FanDuel Cash.
Yeah. I don't love him in cash, but he's viable.
Okay. Achilles DK Cash. Cards, Darno La Stella or Betancourt and Rivera?
Oh my, that's bottom of the barrel. I would go the second one, but it's not great.
Okay. BHB DK Cash. Cheese, La Stella and Newtbar or Anderson and Hillard?
I would say Anderson Hilliard. I just want to kind of randomly throw out that La Stella has a little bit less pinch hit risk than he usually has because Flores, Longoria, and Estrada are all in the lineup. Like, I'm not saying he can't come out, but I feel a little better about, like, usually he's like the first guy out, and I don't think he's the first guy out tonight. So he is viable.
Okay. Jay says, Cards, DKGPP in the Immaculate Tourney. I have no idea what the hell that means. One lineup, would you play Pablo Kluber with a Seattle stack or Ray Clevenger with a Yankee stack?
I'd probably do the first one.
Okay, great. Let's see. Mr. Perfect says, is it crazy to play Perez and Mend go double catcher? Ooh. Jeez, is it
I don't
crazy?
think that's crazy at all. I absolutely love it.
Okay, nice. DK Cash, best outfielder cards making you work, 3,200 or below in the outfield.
On DK?
Yep.
I think Cheese might have. Do you have DK on your screen share right now?
Like,
I had FanDuel on mine, so
I think we would both kind of like Jake McCarthy batting sixth for Arizona.
I like McCarthy as well. I just wasn't sure the exact price.
Yeah, he's 31.
Perfect. Okay, let's go to Mufasa. FanDuel GPP. Cheese, I'm coming to you. Do you prefer Dubon and or Maldonado to finish a Houston stack?
So, I mean, bottom line really is I don't care one teeny iota which one. So decide who you like in their place. Like what's the pivot, and choose the other guy you like outside of the stack.
Say that again.
Don't choose between Dubon or Maldonado. Choose which non-Houston guy you're going to use.
Because they're at different positions.
Because they're different positions.
So who are you going to use at that position?
So you're saying you can use Maldonado with another cheap shortstop or outfielder, or you can use Dubon with another cheap catcher. Don't decide. Dubon or Maldonado is irrelevant. Doesn't matter. Pick your other position from your not out of your stack first.
Love it. I like it. I love it. Hey, Cards, this one coming to you. St. Louis stack and DK single entry. Come on now.
I don't love it. Although they've been playing well, they only scored 1 run last night, and they did not score this afternoon. And it's not like we've got this massive wind blowing out in Chicago. They tend to go in ruts, and a lot of their hitters are in a little bit of a rut right now. So I like Nootbaar. I like Goldie. I like Arenado. That's probably about it. And also, I believe their lineup isn't out yet. So just be careful if you're playing them.
Okay. Alex says, hey, is Toronto higher on our list now with the delay? Are people going to come off that? Or is everyone smart enough to follow me on Twitter and know and watch this
They were
show
high on
and
my
know?
list anyway, so I hope people come off them because I do like them quite a bit.
Yeah. All right.
When you asked for the one stack to win it all, and I said Arizona, Toronto would have been my 1B.
Okay.
choice.
All right. Beaner says, hey, can you do a Texas stack on cash in FanDuel? Cheese. We don't stack in cash.
Yeah, you don't stack on purpose, but like when it's like the road team at Coors, like you might end up with 4. Like if you end up there, I think it's okay. But I think probably you'd only use semi and Seager and low.
Okay. All right. Pablo Lopez for FanDuel GPP. Okay.
I don't hate it. Yeah.
He's on the list. Yeah.
Great. Chinatown says, hey, I missed everything. Is Boston okay for bats, Kevin Roth? Yeah, it's fine. And I love being able to say confidently, despite the late start, that game's going to play. Like
I was just hoping he said, I missed everything. I need a 4-minute rundown of everything. We would have done it. But,
hey, guys, I missed everything. If you could just start from the top, really narrow it down, that'd be great. Let's see. Gavin Lux scratched, just FYI, if anyone was looking to get Luxy. Carolina guy, FanDuel GPP, Torres or Marte last piece cards?
Marte.
FanDuel single entry cheese, Trout Melendez or Winker McMahon?
Trout Melendez.
Matt Hack says, hey, is DK being difficult for anybody else? You guys wouldn't know, but
I would. I saw several people in the YouTube chat saying that as well. So there may be a problem.
Yeah,
but we are sponsored by FanDuel.
Yeah. You know where there's not a problem? FanDuel. Everything's good over there. Make sure you're jumping on FanDuel. Yeah, that was good stuff, Cheese. FanDuel single entry cards, Marte, CJ Crone. It's Cron. I keep calling him Crone like an old lady.
I think it is Crone. Isn't it Crone?
I don't think it's Crone.
I've always said Crone.
Everyone says Crone. I can't say that that's correct, but that's what everyone says, Crone.
If your last name is Crone, it'd be the worst name ever. No one would ever marry you because your last name literally means
because
old
when
hag.
he hits a home run, they say welcome to the Crone zone in the broadcasts.
They don't say the Crone zone.
That's the French pronunciation.
Yeah.
Anyway.
FanDuel single entry cards, Marte, CJ Crone, or Walker and Brendan Rodgers.
First one.
I've got 3,800 left in the util. Best play on FanDuel. So cards are coming to you. You said you have FanDuel up. 3,800 in the util.
Of course, I changed it to DraftKings when that question came up, and it was being slow loading. So I opted to defer the question. Geez, now I'm going back to FanDuel. But 3,800, you can get a lot of players in that range. All right, I have gotten 3,800 or less in the util, so I'm not restricted by anything.
Correct.
Give me Julio Rodriguez 3,700, or in the event that you already have him, Devers at 3,700 as well.
Those are good choices, good options there. Jay Sam says, Cheese, who do you prefer on FanDuel out of Julio and Haniger for Seattle? I've already got Winker. P.S. is Biggio viable as one-off in FanDuel since he's one of a few who can hit the ball in the air?
Take Julio if you can afford either, although Haniger's great as well. Biggio is a viable, cheap one-off, yeah.
Okay. Achilles, DK single entry, Nootbaar and Garcia cards, or Tucker Tavares?
I would go with I'd go with the first one, but again, Cardinals lineup's not out. I presume Nootbaar will be in there. He was like the only guy that hit in the first game, but just double check it.
Okay. Less than a minute to lock. FanDuel GPP, last man in. You hitting a bomb or you going with Captain Kirk? Geez, that's you. Is Bohm or Kirk?
Okay.
I was struggling with bomb too.
I would lean Kirk.
All right. Hey, we hit the lock. DK apparently is down. Everyone is very upset. This is a good reason why you should be watching FanDuel and why you should be liking this FanDuel sponsored show. Like it for FanDuel's app, working flawlessly. I will say, it used to be pretty common. I mean, maybe not common, but not unusual for this to happen. Like outages, and people would always be like, "Oh, I better get my money
Usually
back."
the first week of NFL.
I was gonna say, I was thinking that.
Yeah,
too.
it hasn't really happened much on any site recently. But
Right.
I guess one of those, like, every website everywhere in the world goes down occasionally here and there, and sometimes it's not their fault. I have no idea if it's their fault or not right now, but sometimes it's not.
Yeah. Matt Hack says DK's down, which means we all get free rolls. Oh, we all get free rolls with 120,000 people in it. Sometimes they do that, like, oh, here's a free roll. Good luck with, winning out of 1 million people. Okay. My wife has texted me, Jesus Christ, please help. So I, in this case, am Jesus Christ, so I got to go help. So for Cheese and for Cards and for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love it. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.